Hello, this is Christina Barr, and you're watching Black Tea News. Hello, welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about an interview that Cat Williams had on Club Shay Shay. And he talked about so many things. It was about 3 hours long, and it is all over my TikTok feed. And he talked about like Illuminati stuff, people selling their soul, kind of metaphorically, but people making deals or whatever to sell out their integrity or do things, whether, I don't know, might be implied sexual things to get favors in Hollywood and entertainment and other stuff. He talked about gatekeepers. He talked about other comedians stealing his jokes and just all kinds of stuff. So I just want to talk a bit about it. Also, the Epstein docs have started to be released. There's more that's going to come out. So much of what's kind of been released, though, is stuff that we already know. People are like, aha, Trump's not named as doing anything crazy in there. And my opinion about Trump and the Epstein stuff is if there was a strong connection there, then we probably would have heard about it by now. That's my opinion on that. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's likely. If there was a way to take the man down, I think they would have found another way to take him down by now. But also Mayorkas, who continues to be terrible on the border. I wonder if they will actually impeach him. The thing about impeaching someone like him is that Biden will just replace him with another terrible person. So the problem is the Biden administration, period. So he tried to say the border and all that stuff, people coming in is because of, he did mention poverty, but climate change and people being displaced. So pointing the finger everywhere except going to the mirror and saying it's your fault the administration sucks. And also Nikki Haley is just continuing to bomb. She said some stuff the other day that really upset the people of Iowa, and they did cover it on local news, so it's not just something that's like going around on Twitterville, so, or now Xville or whatever. Everyone still, when they say X in articles, they still say formerly Twitter, because that's how we all know it as. So anyway, before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com, because it does cost a streaming, run my website, all that stuff. So you guys can support. I appreciate it. If you're watching on Facebook, you guys can send stars. If you're watching on YouTube, you guys can send super chats or super thanks. I thank you guys for watching live. Thank you to those of you who come back and watch later. Please consider like going to the website, dropping in your email and stuff so you guys can stay up to date with different articles, or I don't know if there's some kind of situation where I can't post, like, you know, my last time I got like a violation or something, I couldn't, you know, post on YouTube for a week or something. So for example, things like that. So so you just kind of know what's up, and just go ahead and join the email list. Check out different merch that we have available at blacktnews.com, like the I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For. We got some anti-Biden stuff that, like, on the back there's a list of a bunch of racist stuff that Joe Biden has said, done. In the front says denounce white supremacy, defeat Joe Biden. There's a long sleeve version of the shirt. I have the long sleeve version myself. And you know, it's funny right now because Joe Biden is like launching a hate tour with Trump, basically, not with Trump, but to trash Trump, which I'm not surprised, because it's the 4th, and so we're going on the 6th. So it's going to be nonstop talk about January 6th and Trump threat to democracy, etc., etc. So the goal is going to be like referendum on Trump's threat to democracy. Trump is a racist, etc., blah blah blah. So Um, I don't know how many people think that Trump is extraordinarily more racist than Biden. I would say that I have far more evidence for Biden than to make that case about Trump. So anyway, again, that shirt's available on the website. But yeah, his plan is to make it about Trump, um, and for the media and everybody to make it about Trump, so they don't look at what's going on as far as his policies and stuff. And I don't know which strategy is going to win in the end, because there's a lot of polling and everything that's trending in Trump's direction right now. But I don't really trust the polling too much. I think things are sampled in a way, or the results are so kind of skewed toward Trump's favor that it doesn't make sense historically for how we know people will vote. And like Trump overperforming with youth or overperforming with minorities and stuff, particularly Black people. At the end, do I think maybe he might do better than Romney or something? Well, he did last time, so sure, but not the sort of numbers that these are popping up. So I think toward election day, the polls will start making a lot more sense. But um, I think it's pretty obvious that the machine wants Trump to be the nominee because they think that's the only person Biden can beat. And Biden and Trump, um, and is just confident that he can beat Biden, and everybody's confident that he can beat Biden because the policies and whatever are so bad. Um, we'll see. They're both playing a game of chicken with each other. They're both definitely playing a game of chicken, but I'm not looking forward to the all the January 6th talk like it was like a year ago, 2 years ago, just nonstop, all the time. That's all they talked about. So that's going to ramp up, um, especially if they can't force these trials with Trump through um, before the election. We'll have to see what happens on that. But anyway, check out other different merch that's on the website. I don't have a meme for you guys so much today. I guess we'll just um, start with. I guess I want to start with the Cat Williams stuff. So he was on Club Shay Shay uh, the other day, and me, my sister, well, two of my sisters, because I mentioned I just saw clips that were pretty interesting on TikTok about Cat Williams. He's a comedian, and I was interested in seeing the whole thing. I didn't know it was like 3 hours long, but I guess I watch 3 hour long podcasts all the time, not necessarily in just sitting on the couch watching something in one sitting. I might be driving around and listening to it, or I don't know, doing stuff around the house or something, or listening to a podcast. It's very rare that I actually just sit down and just watch a 3 hour straight sort of podcast. But I was interested in the different clips. My sister was like, "Oh, do you want to watch it?" And so she wanted to watch it, so she pulled it up. And so and my parents came home, and they just because I was over their house, and they just sat down and was watching. My dad doesn't even know who Cat Williams is, and he just spilled all the tea. He just spilled all the tea. He talked about Steve Harvey. He talked about Cedric the Entertainer, how they, how different people gatekeep, how they gatekeep, how Kevin Hart gatekeeps, the comedy industry. He talked about Cedric stealing jokes. He talked about different deals that people make in order to get parts and roles, which that doesn't sound too crazy. We're all aware of that. That goes down in entertainment, that goes down in music, and it doesn't seem like we had a big Me Too movement compared to like Hollywood versus like the music industry. There was a couple guys who got outed, but I've known about that stuff for a long while. I know somebody who used to write for a very big artist, and to get into like R&B and hip hop and other stuff, they wanted you to do some butt stuff, man. And if you didn't do it yourself, you had to know someone who was willing to do it. And the particular artist they work for hadn't done it yet, but at least as far as they knew or said, but they were talking about all kinds of different stuff going on. And Cat Williams had mentioned Harvey Weinstein in the past, and people came out against him and stuff. So was he not correct about Weinstein? We all found out that was the truth. He just said some pretty interesting things. So I'm gonna play a couple of clips, at least that are symboled on the internet, that I just saw on TikTok going around. But I would, if you find it interesting, I would encourage you to go ahead and just go watch the whole interview. There will be cursing and other things like that, but this first clip I'm going to show I think has the stuff bleeped out, but not all the clips are going to be bleeped out. But it was fascinating. I don't know if we should take everything at face value, but I don't know. Stuff sounds pretty plausible. Stuff sounds pretty plausible. So let's watch this. So he's a really intelligent guy. He loves to read, and but he just never wanted to sell his soul, especially like having to do sexual favors in order to get ahead, like a lot of people have done.
Number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job. Why do you think Gary Owen can't cross over and he already white and been in comedy for 25 years? If what I say ain't the case. It's a cabal. It's a consortium. They rock with who they rock with, don't with who they don't. But I'm not scared of being the competition any more than you were when you lined up across from a superior team. Yeah, on paper, they're a better team.
Right.
They have all the assets and resources and we don't. But let us get on the line, boy, and see if that factors in. I guarantee you it won't.
Wow.
Because Shannon Sharp got to be a different person than that other person.
Absolutely.
And he always was. That doesn't change when I change teams. That remains the same. That's how a legacy is built. So all of these shortcut takers, they canceled me for talking about Harvey Weinstein before the thing came out, but he offered to suck my in front of all my people at my agency. What am I supposed to do? He did all of that. I'm thinking I'm the only black person on the script. I get there, there's 3 other black guys on there. Woo. Huh.
So you wonder what they did to get there.
I told him no. What y'all do? And this is why when I walk in a room, heads go down. Behind my back, I'm nothing. I'm just a regular old comedian that's bitter and jealous. But in my face, no. The king has walked in and they have to respect it only because I've not taken the shortcuts. I've not been funded. They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. It's just kind of more confirmation of things that we're aware of and things that, we hear, and it's not something that's exclusive to entertainment. It goes on in politics too. I mean, there are the rumors that with gosh, I can't remember the congressman kid who was in the wheelchair. And I met him too, but Madison Cawthorn, he said some stuff allegedly about being invited to like an orgy and stuff. I don't know if he was being true, if that stuff is true or not. But when all that stuff came out, I like, that's not out of the box, because I've heard stories. I've heard stories that sound pretty on par with that. But even like I mentioned this before, there's a book called Color, Communism, Common Sense, and they talked about how communists would recruit black people, and they would do it with things that were, um, you know, uh, back in the day, actual like grievances that were legitimate. In the USA with black people, and they say, "Hey, come over and be a communist," and they would recruit them, but they would set them up some kind of way. So if you were a dude, black guy, they'd set you up with maybe this woman, so she can kind of keep tabs on you, or they would make you set you up so you would have an affair or something. So if you decided to get out and defect from communism or something, they would destroy you, or if they don't have to destroy you, maybe they can blackmail you to keep you towing the line. Or if you do decide to leave, they're going to blow your credibility to a point where people aren't going to take you seriously. So if that could happen back then, why wouldn't it happen now? And it's funny with that particular example, because Kat was talking about how people get deals, and then all of a sudden they get these light-skinned wives. Like, what? And when he mentioned that at first, and then he said, and I'm not specific because that applies to 7 different people, and my younger sister's kind of more in the know as far as like this kind of sect of entertainment. She was just like, "Oh dang, I can't think of one that don't have a light skin." And but he ended up admitting later that he was talking about Ludacris. And then when I was first saw TikToks with that clip, people in the comments were like, "I'm Googling his wife so fast." But he said that Ludacris, who's been in a lot of the Fast and Furious movies, that Kat and Ludacris were both invited to like an Illuminati sort of thing, and they could only wanted one of them or whatever. And he implied that Luda was the one who took the deal, and that's why you see him in all these movies making all this money with these not great movies, but they keep making them and they keep making money. And again, I don't know about all the allegations, but they feel like they have a ring of truth to them. And it's not because I'm particularly conspiratorial. There's a lot of people who commentate who are, but I'm just saying there's a lot of things that I've heard, a lot of things that I know, and it just feels like there's a ring of truth to the things that he's talking about. As far as people selling out, again, he mentioned Harvey Weinstein. That was something that everybody knew. When Ricky Gervais was doing the Oscars, I think it was the Oscars, and he was making the Weinstein jokes, and or was it the Epstein jokes? But he's just like, you guys knew, like all of you knew. And he made jokes about people getting exposed and stuff. It was probably the most uncomfortable opening ever with the jokes. But it went super viral because there was truth into it, and these people were buddies, and there had to be people who knew people who just allowed stuff to go on and happen because other people have connections. They'll blackball you, whatever, and or they might have something on you. But sometimes people are so greedy about their roles and other stuff that that the blackballing threat is big enough. But I'm sure there's people who have a lot of stuff on them. That's how Epstein amassed so much power with an influence with so many famous people, because he would do stuff and get people in these situations, and apparently had all these videos of folks doing stuff, and collected people's secrets and would blackmail and so on. So I don't think Kat's not telling the truth about a lot of situations. I don't have a clip of this pulled up, but I thought they asked him about Kanye West, and he said that he doesn't really judge Kanye. He said, I think if someone is sick and we're all just kind of pointing and waiting for them to do something or watching them, then we're kind of sick. Like we know, like Kanye has issues, and he kind of turned the finger over at everyone else, like, you guys are the ones who, you know, uplifted him, called him a genius for writing song lyrics. You know, he decided to have his own church, and he was, you know, still cursing and do a bunch of other stuff, and people didn't really shoot him down, and or maybe enough vocal people didn't really shoot him down. But and then we turn around and we're like, oh my gosh, it's like, no, Kanye was always a strange guy, which was my commentary about Kanye. I mean, he's said stuff that's like, you know, but to me, I'm like, he said outrageous stuff before, and has always been outrageous. I thought it was, interesting that, so many people wanted to think that he was nuts when he put on a MAGA hat. And I'm like, Kanye's always done like outlandish sort of stuff. And you could say maybe it's worse than it has been before. I don't know. I don't know about that, but to me, you always just kind of take him with you understand that he's there to write music, but he's definitely a different kind of guy. So I thought it's interesting, his commentary on Kanye. He mentioned some stuff about Kim. He just said, well, he married a whore, and Shay, just like Shannon, he like fell over and just couldn't believe he like said that. And then Kat was like, no, don't get me mistaken, like, he knew what she was. And it was, I don't know, funny, because he was like trying to clarify, like, not that she was a whore, like she cheated on him, like, no, he openly just kind of knew what he was getting into with he didn't mention her sex tape or anything like that, but I'm assuming that's, you know, partly why that label was on her. And my mom just was like, mouth dropped. It was a wild 3 hours. It's a wild 3 hours. I don't want to spoil everything, I guess. There's jokes abound in there, and really interesting conversations. He also talked about Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer and all those guys, like I said, gatekeeping stuff. He's not too fond of them. He didn't like them, you know, crapping on Bernie Mac and saying other stuff like that. So that's one reason why he doesn't fool with them, on top of Cedric stealing his joke. So someone compiled an example of that stuff being true. So I'm going to just go ahead and play that segment here.
Cedric told you when you asked him, did you steal Cat Williams' joke?
Yeah.
He said,
hold on.
Cedric told you when you asked him, did you steal Cat Williams' joke?
Yeah.
He said, it don't line up. How it don't line up? He thought that I was just a no-name comedian and that he could take this joke and nobody would know.
Right.
The issue was that I had already done this particular joke on BET's Comic View twice.
Right.
It had done so well on BET's Comic View that they had made it part of the commercial. So part of the commercial of make sure you tune in to BET was you seeing me doing this joke. So this is not just a random joke. This is my very best joke, and it's my last joke, and it's my closing joke.
Okay.
1998, I'm doing this joke. It's on Comic View. Cedric comes to the Comedy Store. He watches me in the audience. He comes backstage. He tells me what a great job I did and how much he loves the joke. 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on the Kings of Comedy. And he's doing it verbatim. He's just changed my car into a spaceship. Him and Steve had already apologized for me, so I gave him a pass for a decade. Why would you sit here and be like, I saw Cat 30 times and Cat didn't do, as I stand before you, Shannon, I would have bust Cedric's stomach. There was nothing that would have kept me from one of these in that patch right there. Like, are you kidding me? Why would you downplay me like that? Why did I give you a pass if you were just gonna lie? Cedric sitting here telling you why he ain't a movie star. He over here look like a walrus. You didn't say nothing. He can't even get his arms off his stomach sitting over here. Why I'm not a movie star. What?
It's a situation.
He never wrote anything. Remember, when Cedric the Entertainer starts, he's supposed to be singing, dancing, and telling jokes. That's why he's called the Entertainer.
Right.
We found out he can't sing, can't dance, and doesn't write jokes. He did 4 comedy specials. They're so bad, Shannon, they're not available on Netflix or Tubi. Can I say that again for the audience? They're so bad that they're not available on Netflix or Tubi.
You don't think Sam's a good comedian?
The world doesn't think that, sir. I have 12 comedy specials. He has 4 specials that are not available on Netflix or Tubi. And this is the age of truth. And the truth doesn't need to be scared of the fact that people tell lies. Cats on drugs. Where are the stories? Why is there no story of anybody who ever sold a drug to me, did a drug with me, was around me when I was inebriated? I got 5 daughters. I got 5 sons. Why would we tell these ridiculous stories? Because it's competition.
Now, I'm reading Cat Williams won Cedric the Entertainer's Anheuser-Busch Best Los Angeles Comic Award. Did you win that award, won Cat Williams? It's a simple yes or no. It's not a rhetorical question.
It's a question that probably should have been asked to Cedric the Entertainer.
I'm asking you. I got you here, though.
I know. I couldn't believe Cedric didn't get asked that question. You still a dude's joking and giving an award, and then 10 years later, you don't know nothing about it. Hey, but I promise you this.
What?
If he sees me again before he sees you, he'll be talking different when you see him. That's for certain. That's the difference. That's what these comics understand, is that I'm not doing nothing for clout. I don't even recognize clout. But eventually the Lord is going to let me and you be in one hallway. A lot of these dudes go.
But you did win the award. How did the award help your career? It had to help something, Cat.
Nope. God,
come on, Cat.
I didn't remember it happened to you. Just said it. How can Cedric give you an award that was worth something? Everything Cedric and Ricky Smiley ever been in got canceled for not being funny. Cedric told you.
Okay, so here's the. Let me see if okay, make it a little bit bigger for you guys.
Your car radio up so loud that you couldn't hear the damn thing when it cut off. It looked like this. You flossing in a 6-shift convertible.
So that was a bit of that joke, and here's Cedric.
Before we would drive a space shuttle, we grew up driving long cars. We would drive a space shuttle like it's a 72 deuce and a quarter. Nigga, we get us a cigarette, nigga, we be in a space shuttle, nigga, like it's a 72 deuce. Nigga, we get us. What's up, nigga? time we turn our music down is when we got a parallel park. That's the only time we got to concentrate, nigga. Soon we get in, we turn our shit back up.
Yeah, so there was a comedian who told a story. My sister sent me this clip on TikTok of Cat calling him to complain about Cedric taking his joke. And so he's like, "Oh, but it'll be okay. It's gonna set you up, and like take it as a compliment and stuff." And he's like, "Well, I'm glad you feel that way because he's stealing your stuff right now." And so then the TikTok showed Cedric like doing stuff that was like taking that particular comedian stuff. So comedians taking other people's material, that's not I mean, that's unfortunate. That's a no-no, but it has happened. It has happened. So anyway, very interesting conversation with Kat, just talking about the industry, the gatekeeping, the secret deals and whatnot. He said some stuff about Jonathan Majors that was so funny. I don't have the clip pulled up, but I just recommend it. Just go look it up in that situation. And it was funny. It was a funny and very interesting 3 hours. So if you got the time to kill, I recommend you go watch it. But I just want to talk about it a bit. It's like, at least on my TikTok feed, it's the hottest thing people are talking about. You scroll and it's just clip after clip after clip after clip of Cat and this particular conversation. So there's a couple things that off the top of my head that were pretty fascinating about it. So anyway, let's jump to the Epstein doc release. So there's going to be more to come. I'm going to go ahead and read from this Daily Wire article about it. Federal court documents pertaining to the late convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein were unsealed on Wednesday pursuant to a December order from Manhattan federal judge Loretta Pleska, and are expected to reveal the names of more than 150 of the financiers' associates, some of whom are already known. Shortly after the first documents were uploaded to the host site, however, traffic caused the website to crash. People were like refreshing. It's funny as this thing was breaking out, it was like, watch the Epstein thing or Cat Williams. And I was like, I kind of want to see the Cat Williams thing. So I had to look at the Epstein stuff later. According to the report published by the New York Times shortly after the documents were unsealed, Epstein was the only person who has been incriminated, as has long been expected. Both former President Donald Trump and Bill Clinton were named in the document, but neither was accused of any crime. There's something in the document about Clinton liking young girls. And there were some apologists on Twitter that were automatically trying to shift to Trump to downplay Clinton. And it's like, we already saw images of Clinton with people who were associated with Epstein. There's like a photo of one giving like Clinton a massage. And by the way, this came out in 2020 and they still had that old man, that old nasty old man. I know I said old like twice, at the DNC convention. And I thought that was so amazing in a very terrible, bad way, that they just don't care about the voters at all, their party at all. I'm like, what is it about Bill and Hillary Clinton that Democrats feel that they have to associate and entertain them so? Like, I know he was a president who did things that they obviously like, but he did some pretty scummy things that people know about and people speculate about, and rumors that people in those circles know that are true, and to still have to deal with them. It's one thing when I guess Hillary was a senator and had higher aspirations. It was one thing when she was the Secretary of State. It was one thing when you wanted her to be the President of the United States, but she's not going to be. And he looks like he's dying of syphilis. So, so why do they feel the need to protect them? So to like, they both did master classes a few years ago. And I'm like, are they trying to rehabilitate their images at all and trying to I had suspicions. I'm like, are they going to try to make her run for president again? Like, is that what they're going to try to do? Because I didn't see the need for them to keep uplifting them, keep having them on shows. If I don't know, if I was a part of the Democrat Party in any sort of high circles, I would not want to be associated with the Clintons. I would be like, their era is over. We need to do better. We need to like uninvite them from shows, uninvite them from conferences. It's over. It's done. So people just kind of putting up with that, especially when I don't understand what politically either of them would have anything to give. And they still had them at the DNC convention, fresh off of those photos being released, was crazy to me. But anyway, back to the article. Trump's appearance in the documents was particularly innocuous, coming up only as an offhand remark made by Epstein upon learning that his plane was making an unscheduled stop in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Great, we'll call up Trump, Epstein allegedly said, adding that they should also make a stop at his casino. So I saw some people like really upplaying the casino stuff. Mostly there were Trump people saying, aha, Trump had nothing to do with this. And there were some DeSantis accounts, some of that I do follow, that were really upplaying that, and I thought it was kind of gross. Like, these are pretty serious allegations, and all you know from that is that a guy was in an Atlantic City, knows another rich guy, and was gonna stop in their casino. You know, so there is other like associations, of course, with Epstein and Trump, like photos and whatever. He used to be a member of Mar-a-Lago. He did kick Epstein out after there was some kind of altercation between Epstein and another member's daughter. So he disassociated, I suppose, from him. So we don't, there could be more stuff in the next batch, but I'm telling you my opinion. I think it's pretty reasonable. I'm not saying it's correct, but my reasonable sort of conclusion with the Trump and the Epstein stuff is, if there was more serious things with Epstein and Trump, that we would probably know about it. Clinton's mention was a little less benign. However, when asked during a 2016 deposition about Epstein's relationship with the former president, Epstein victim Johanna Solberg said he said one time that Clinton likes them young, referring to the girls. Solberg testified that she had been pressured by both Epstein and Maxwell to give massages that included sex stuff, but that she had never been asked to massage Trump. She also said that she never saw Trump or Clinton at Epstein Island. Solberg also stated in her testimony that she had been, by the way, Epstein was like at the White House quite a bit during those Clinton years, though. She also stated in her testimony that she had been introduced to Britain's Prince Andrew and that he had put his hand on my breast. One witness, when asked whether she had ever met anyone famous at Epstein's home in Palm Beach, replied that she had met the late Michael Jackson. Epstein's victim, Virginia Roberts Gilfrey, said that she had slept with Thomas Pritzker, billionaire executive chairman of the Hyatt Hotels and cousin to Governor J.B. Pritzker, who's a Democrat from Illinois. Guilford also testified that Epstein had trafficked her to have sex with Prince Andrew and billionaire hedge fund manager Glenn Dubin. One witness also claimed to have met magician David Copperfield at a dinner at Epstein's home. She said that in addition to performing magic tricks for the guests, Copperfield asked her if she was aware that the girls were getting paid to find other girls. Thus far, only a few names have remained unsealed, a few who were underage when they were abused by Epstein, and at least one who has claimed that she could face imminent physical harm in her home country if her name were released to the public. So this is a developing story. There's more stuff coming out. I also saw that Dershowitz was mentioned as well, but like Alan Dershowitz, but he said in the past that he hopes there's videos because it would clear his name. And I don't know, we'll see. And I don't know how much stuff you'll find out or whatever if you're waiting for more for stuff with Clinton and other folks to be released. I don't know. I guess I'm more pessimistic about or suspicious. If things were like so awful, do you think that people would just allow certain things to get out, especially after things were sealed for so long? So for people who just are kind of salivating waiting for information to drop or whatever to know who we're gonna mass cancel, if they would even bother to do that, I think just kind of patiently wait and go through the stuff, because who knows if you'll even get to see everything. I doubt we will, but we'll continue to cover the story and let you know an update with the different stuff going on. So let's also talk about Nikki Haley. She was, they're campaigning in Iowa, which their caucus is in 15 days. So it's very close. I mean, not 15 days. It's on the 15th. So we're very close out on the Iowa stuff. But she had made a comment about how in New Hampshire they correct the mistakes of Iowa. So if you I assume she expects that she's not going to win Iowa. I don't know if she ever really expected she was going to win Iowa. I think most people suspect that Trump will win Iowa. DeSantis and people who truly support him think that that he's going to turn it out, and if he can turn out in Iowa with mass people coming to caucus, that will flip the script on the Trump is inevitable sort of Thanos snap situation. And then he can look like he's the one who can compete, and then it'll be a 2-person race, and maybe he can catch up. Even if he does win in Iowa, Trump has such huge name ID, and so many people do like what he did. Now there's people ready to move on. People say he's too old. People who don't like what he's done since he left office to today. People concerned about the trials and some of his policy positions that he's shifting and kind of moving a little bit left on. There's people out there who are ready for someone else, but the big narrative is that he's pretty much unstoppable. And then there's people within the political landscape that, because they see the poll numbers and that he's pretty much unstoppable, there's people who don't like Trump but aren't going to say that they don't like Trump and will still do things for Trump and move stuff for Trump, because they're concerned about how how grassroots will feel, constituents will feel, etc. So as long as he appears unstoppable, he's going to have a machine of like maybe unwilling participants that's going to keep holding up that image. So there's a lot riding on Iowa. And if DeSantis doesn't have some kind of good showing, I don't know where else he builds that momentum, because he's been working nonstop to get that first win. Now, I don't really trust the polls too much. I think I know that Trump is like crazy far ahead, but I think there's lots of reasons to why they might not be accurate, and a caucus situation might not poll extremely well in those particular circumstances anyway. So we'll see what happens. Enthusiasm on that day. But I don't think Nikki Haley ever thought that she was going to win there. Now, Haley has more appeal in New Hampshire. The Koch brothers have poured a lot of money into Nikki Haley, and she's got the better chance of winning there, or at least had the better chance of winning there over Trump. And she's had some big boo-boos. One of them was the whole slavery thing that happened was before Christmas, I think. And it was wild. I can't remember if it was before Christmas or after Christmas. But we did already talk about that quite a bit. But this insulting the Iowa people, I don't think is a good look. I don't know how they'll transfer in New Hampshire, or whatever, if they'll care. I mean, people in the audience did laugh, but she I don't one gaffe after another, man, with Nikki Haley here. So, and I think the more gaffes that someone has, the more you're concerned about whether they can go the distance. Because you're concerned how they might mess up with this stuff in the general election.
We have an opportunity to get this right. And I know we'll get it right. I trust you. I trust every single one of you. You know how to do this. You know Iowa starts it. You know that you correct it. You know that you continue to go. And then my sweet state of South Carolina brings it home. That's what we do. That's what we do. We have an opportunity.
Yeah, so she did they did report about this on local news. So I saw the news reports about it. And so people in Iowa are aware, at least the ones who watch the news. I'm assuming people who caucus probably watch the news. So folks are aware of it. They did release some kind of statement that are like, they don't have to correct a mistake or whatever, try to walk it back, the comment, but they heard it. They're aware of it. That you don't value their opinion too much, and that you think that whatever the voters decide there will be a mistake, instead of a respectful disagreement, and that you're banking on everyone else to just kind of overpower the voice of Iowa there. So now, to, I guess, play devil's advocate and be fair to her, people who win Iowa that doesn't mean that you're going to go on to win the election, right? Ted Cruz won Iowa. He didn't win the primary against Trump. You had Rick Santorum, who won Iowa, I believe. He did not win. Huckabee, I believe, won Iowa. He did not win the nomination. So as far as like being a bellwether sort of predictor, New Hampshire is a far better indicator than Iowa. But just rule of thumb, it was a really not smart thing to say. It was a really not smart thing to say on the campaign trail. You don't have to go to different places and dog other people to do well. Like Biden did that stuff too. His was worse because he did it with race. Like he was talking, gosh, this clip is incredibly seared to my brain, but during the 2020 election, he was doing like a Zoom call or something with a Hispanic group, and then they're like, unlike the African American community, the Hispanic community are incredibly diverse and have incredibly diverse thoughts and other stuff. So so he's went to the Hispanic people to trash the Black people, and is trashing the Black people in order to, I don't know, be like, hey, I'm cool. You guys are smart. They're dumb. Like he found that was the way that he wanted to try to appeal to them, which is a trash thing to do. It was a trash thing to do. And he didn't look too good, of course, when he did it, but history's still what it is. But that moment amazed me. That moment is also on this shirt, by the way. I mentioned this at the top of the hour, but I do have this shirt about denounce white supremacy, defeat Joe Biden with a list of his racism on the back. That did make the cut. So that's on the back too. That instance. I'll have to make it like a compilation video with all that stuff on it, but that was wild. So you don't have to when you're on the campaign trail, you really don't have to go to a different state, especially before that first state votes, to trash that state to other people to make them feel better, make yourself feel better. You don't have to do that. I don't think that'll necessarily ruin her chances in Iowa. I mean, not in Iowa. She doesn't have a chance, but I don't think that'll necessarily ruin her chances in New Hampshire. But I don't think I don't know if she can overcome that Trump hump. I don't know. Especially if someone else can seem like an option as opposed to her. Now there are I was talking to someone today and they're talking about how their family and other people that they know, either like their young people, they like Haley and other stuff, and it depends which circle you're talking to, and they're like, Haley has appeal. She has appeal with independence. I'm like, that's because she's more left wing. She's more left leaning. she has more leftist sort of opinions, and she says things to different people to appeal to them. My issue with Nikki Haley is she has a lack of conviction. So if you have a lack of conviction, I don't ultimately know what you're going to do. Like the biggest issue right now, the hottest topic, and people tried to downplay it before, I think now has 100% been the border crisis. And economy is still a big one, but people, it was a big issue in 2016 too, that helped propel Trump to victory, because that was his biggest issue that he decided to be the biggest hawk on. So people are upset about the border crossings. You get record numbers consistently. The people coming over are like, oh, Biden, yeah, we're coming because of Biden, etc. And you have people who are Abbott, who's exporting these people into Democrat territories, these places where people are like, oh yeah, we have a sanctuary city. So they send these illegal aliens there, these illegal immigrants there. And the Democrats around are mad because they're taking up resources, they're taking up space. In some instances, like kicking out the citizens there to make room or space for different people coming in. And they're like, they're not even supposed to be here. It's like the scene in Mean Girls, like, you don't even go here. So people are upset and they're trying to shift the blame back to Abbott and be like, well, how dare they send people here? But it doesn't matter. People are upset and you're not solving the problem. It's just getting worse. And the Democrats are trying to shift the problem like back on Republicans because they won't pass certain stuff, but they don't want to pass just processing stuff to make it easier for people to filter in. They want to make it so people aren't coming through. So if you get Nikki Haley in there after we've had all these people come through and she's a big squish, what if she, like other Republicans in the past, are like, let's do mass amnesty or something, and we have to have the compassion for them all, and we just have to do the amnesty. What if that's the case? So if we can't see some kind of conviction within you, we think that you will fold. We think that you will fold on important issues, which, by the way, there's this clip going around with Nikki Haley talking about it. I think I had downloaded it, but I had downloaded the wrong place. Give me 1 second. Where I had retweeted it. I retweeted it. That's where it. So people get kind of concerned when they hear takes like these.
But let's keep in mind, these people that are wanting to come here, they want to come for a better life too. They have kids too. They have a heart too. So we don't need to be disrespectful. We don't need to talk about them as criminals. They're not. They're families that want a better life and they're desperate to get here. But let's keep it.
So that clip was circulating around with Haley. And my problem with that is that they are breaking the law to get here, though. So I'm not saying that they don't have maybe a heart of gold, and there aren't people doing it for their families. People who wouldn't want to come to the United States of America. It's a great place. Like who wouldn't, right? And however, they are like illegally coming over. So to say they're not criminals, what do you mean they're not criminals? What do you mean? I don't think maybe they all robbed somebody or stabbed somebody or they're all transporting fentanyl or something along those lines, but they are willing to disrespect our laws to come here. So you can still be compassionate and still respect your own laws, ma'am. So, and I'm not saying that she's saying that she won't in that snippet or overall with her policy. However, again, issue with Haley is ultimately, I don't think she has much conviction. And you see her flip-flopping or changing answers on the campaign trail. So if you can't keep your story straight when you're talking to, you know, MSNBC or Morning Joe or whoever, CBS, and then you're confronted about something on the debate stage that made you look bad, and you're like, no, I never said that. When we all have the tape, it just shows a complete lack of respect to the voters and our intelligence. And if you have that lack of respect for us, what are you going to do if you got into the White House? What are you going to do? Which doesn't make sense to me. There's some things that she's so firm on. War stuff, foreign policy, Ukraine. That stuff, so solid, unmoving. Other stuff, just trying to appeal to the people. So, and the donors, and we can't know for certain at the end what her domestic policy will be, because she's just trying to play so much to two sides. So I don't really want to squish. I want someone who can effectively, you know, convey ideas that will appeal to people, but I want still someone to promote conservative ideals. I want someone who can be persuasive, and she's persuasive at times to people. She's appealing people in the middle, so I guess it's not really a thing about persuasion. But I don't think she believes in maybe a lot of the things that perhaps we believe in. Maybe a good chunk. But that's why she's willing to surrender and bend the knee or whatever. So I don't think Nikki Haley got a good chance at all. And I think she would, don't get me wrong, I think she'd do pretty well in the general. I think that she could beat Biden. I don't know about any other replacements that they might put up against her or whatever, but if it's Biden the one who's going to be all the way, and Nikki Haley somehow turn it out, I do think that she'd have a good chance to win. I think DeSantis will have a great chance to win. So between the two, I'd definitely rather take DeSantis than Haley, because at the end of the day, when she's in office, I don't think she has that, you know, DeSantis has that speak the truth and let the chips fall where they may sort of mentality. Nikki Haley, I don't see that in her. I don't. And someone is welcome to kind of try to prove me wrong, but I have eyes and I have ears, and I've seen her flip and disrespect our intelligence, because we have the tapes. We have the tapes. We know what you just said. We know what you just said. Last thing I want to point out today before I let you guys go is this video with Mayorkas talking about the border and climate change and poverty and all these sorts of different reasons why so many people are coming here, as opposed to just, you know, people coming and saying, hey, it's because of Biden. We're here because of Biden. They think the border is open and people are going to be lax with it. So they're like, yay, it's a good time to come. There's talk about them wanting to impeach Mayorkas. I don't know if Republicans are actually going to do something like that. And I already said top of the hour, I don't know what good it will ultimately do, because they'll just replace him with someone better. I mean, worse.
Border Patrol in the month of December processed more migrants entering the United States illegally than any month in the history of that agency. Why is that happening? How do you explain it?
So we are seeing the greatest number of displaced people, not only at our southern border, not only in the Western Hemisphere, but across the globe. You know, I am involved in bilateral and multilateral meetings with my counterparts from foreign countries in Europe, in Asia, in the Indo-Pacific, all over the world. And migration, the challenge of displaced people, is a subject that comes up in every single conversation. We have the effects of climate change, poverty, increasing level of authoritarianism, the very many challenges that are at the root cause of the displacement of people around the world.
Border Patrol in the month of December.
So, yeah, these sorts of excuses that they've been making, they're not new. It doesn't explain like the rapid spike. They come across the border and say because of Biden. Because they give the impression that the border is wide open. And when you're making asylum claims and stuff, you're supposed to go to like the closest sort of safest country. You're not supposed to be like, we're going to make sure that we get all the way to the USA. So, I mean, most of these asylum claims and stuff are bunk. And if you want to fix different issues in different nations and help them fix different issues so that the people be more motivated to stay, you can do that. But when I was I guess suppose a teenager, people were very upset and very over world building, and they didn't appreciate us going to different nations and being like, oh, we gotta try democracy here, or we gotta help the people do this, help the people. They're like, no, we're sick of this stuff. We want people to come home and the world can deal with their own sort of problems. So I don't understand now it's kind of flipped and people just expect that it's okay for people to world build here. Everybody to just kind of move in here and let it dramatically escalate and change. It's going to dramatically end up changing the landscape of our nation. And there's already these big cities that say that they can't withstand all the people coming in. I mean, there's people coming in monthly that are half the population of large cities or bigger than in December, the people who came through, it's like half the population of Detroit. So it's really wild. It's really wild. You know, people have been in poverty. But that doesn't quite explain the huge spike. The spike is that people feel that they are incentivized to come, and that the Biden administration will not do a lot to stop it. And the Democrats, the compromises they want to make is about processing rather than actually stopping it. And someone in the comments said that neither side really want to stop it. I think there's Republicans who obviously want to stop it, but there are Republicans that are squishes on the matter, because I do think ultimately they will find some kind of way to benefit from it. So I'm not going to pretend everyone's hands are clean on this particular issue, but I do want someone to be motivated to fix it. So someone asked, what do I think of RFK against Biden and Trump? I think if RFK is actually going to go the distance and be a candidate on the 2024 ballot as an independent against the two of them, I think that it could hurt either one. I don't think he's going to get enough votes to win, but it's just a question of who he would perhaps hurt more. And I don't know. It depends how RFK is going to talk, because you cannot like how, I mean, his appeal, I guess, to a lot of people would be about the big government sort of state. And if you're talking about COVID and how that was handled, you could obviously find a lot to be mad at Biden about, but Trump isn't really giving the indication that there's going to be a reckoning. Like, people keep saying the reckoning, Trump being elected, the reckoning, revenge. Like, there's images of Trump like in his mugshot, and people are just selling shirts or whatever with that mugs or whatever that just say revenge. and that's revenge, the reckoning, etc. That's what people have in mind. But he hasn't promised to give some kind of reckoning as far as the handling of COVID goes. He's very proud of the jab, and he's considered something the father of the vax. And I've heard him say that no one has been harmed from it. Essentially, I think maybe say that to Candace Owens, or is the one interview he gave, and which just isn't true. I'm not saying that there weren't people who should have who their risk assessment didn't make sense for them to take it. That, I mean, people weighed their options, and people took it and protected themselves, etc. And of course, he didn't issue a mandatory you have to take this, but he doesn't talk as if there needs to be reflection there. And so if that's a key thing that upsets you, I don't know if you're going to take votes away from Biden on that. I think that would take votes away from Trump. So I'd say it's a toss up on either one to who it's going to hurt more. I think at the end of the day, Democrats are far more uniform in who they ultimately decide to come home and support. I think the frustration that people had with Hillary being the super establishment sort of person, like I know people who definitely didn't like Trump, but were just that were all very on the left and still voted for him to disrupt the system, to kind of stick it to the Clintons. People were very upset how Bernie was treated at the DNC convention. I don't know if you'll see that same sort of disdain for Biden. I don't think people don't like the job that Biden is doing, but I don't think people have the hate for Biden that they did for Hillary. So at the end of the day, are people going to after they have if the vote is a repeat of these two people, and you're asking people who did vote for Biden the first time over Trump to admit they made a mistake and go vote for that other person. I don't know if there's enough people to admit that they made a massive mistake and go backwards like that. I think the psychology of people, that just doesn't, to me, make sense that there's enough people that are going to be like, you know what, I learned my lesson. And I need to correct the record. But most people don't want to admit that they made a mistake. And there's a lot of people who can get used to a bad situation. So economy and other stuff isn't good. But, to that politics, so much stuff happens. Trump's administration can feel like a world away. So, they can be like, oh, well, there was such drama and chaos every day. Right. So they could still be like, I'm going to ride it out with Biden. Because if you're on the left and you still don't like Trump or whatever, do you want him to replace Clarence Thomas and all these? Well, I guess maybe just be like maybe Alito, but replace Clarence Thomas or whatever. Probably not. You probably want to hold out for Biden or Kamala, or because I don't know how long Biden's gonna be around or whatever. But you'll probably still to vote for your team. So the question is where the independents going to go, and the independents they're upset with Biden, but for all indications they hate Trump. And I don't see how Trump is making inroads with those people. So at the end of the day, if they don't like him, and if they're convinced that he's really not going to solve problems, like you could say the inflation is bad. The inflation is bad because of spending. Well, who spent a lot of money? Biden certainly did, but so did Trump. And you could say it's because of the pandemic, but Trump was still campaigning on spending more money. The Platinum Plan, his appeal to Black Americans, was about spending more money after they'd already spent a lot of money. So if they don't see the issue is that there is no agent of change in the election besides RFK, and I don't think he's going to win. And if he's going to hinder someone, I'm not convinced the person he's going to hinder enough will be Biden. it could very well be Trump. So I don't know. Someone's in the comments said they're a Democrat, they don't love Biden. I don't know anyone who loves Biden. I don't know anyone who I think there's more people who there's people who love Trump. But there's people who are tired. And there's people who don't like Trump, and maybe liked a lot of stuff that he did while he was president, but doesn't like how he's behaved since leaving office and to now, who don't like the state of where the GOP is and are asking questions like, can the country handle 4 more years of Biden? Can the party handle like X amount of years of Trump? So people who just think, who are looking at the polls right now and are thinking that Trump is ahead and is going to take it, I don't think those polls are accurate. But I do think it's kind of maybe anyone's game at this point. But I think the court cases, if those go through, and the election period of 2024 is about the election, highlighting the decisions of like Trump from election night to January 6th and stuff, I don't think that will be good for Trump. So those are my thoughts, my honest thoughts. I don't give thoughts that aren't. So you can like them, you can hate them, but I'm just spilling the tea like Cat Williams did. So, that's my opinion. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Glad to see that there's some differing opinions in the comments today, and you're watching the show. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website. It does cost to stream and run my website and all that stuff, so you guys can support. I do appreciate it. Check out different merch that we have available there. Got, different mugs and so on that you guys can check out. And I do write books for any of you who don't know. I have 17 that are published. 2 are nonfiction. The rest are fiction. So I write from children's, middle grade to like new adult and stuff. So you guys can just search my name on Amazon. But if you go to the website and go to my merchandise page, there's a link that'll take you to my book website. So thank you again for stopping by, and thank you to those who watch this back later, and I will see you guys tomorrow. God bless.